Toxic masculinity. I'm tired of hearing that term. Now, do I believe that there are toxic males? Absolutely. Do I believe that there are toxic men? Absolutely. But do I believe that the word toxic belongs next to masculinity? There's no such thing. It's an oxymoron because real masculinity is everything that toxic men are not. Let's talk about what that means. Insecurity-based decision-making, that's toxic for anybody, but definitely for men. Fear-based decision-making, kind of related, that's toxic. Talking down to women and talking down to anybody, that's toxic. Putting your hands on people in an inappropriate way, hurting them, men and women, that's toxic. Barking, being the loudest voice in the room, having all the attention need to be focused on you all the time, that's insecurity. That's toxic. I can go on and on. Posting things that are negative online, bullying people, that's toxic. Those are toxic males, those are toxic men, toxic boys. None of that is masculinity. That's all testosterone and being able to manage and modulate your pride. Masculinity is about protecting people. Number one, being able to protect yourself, being self-sufficient. Masculinity is about being polite, knowing when to take a step back in the room to balance the energy, knowing when to exercise your pride when it's the right thing to do. Masculinity is about being well-read, being able to articulate yourself. Masculinity is about achievement. It's about attention to detail, being a leader. That's masculinity. It's about being able to do things like chop wood, dig holes. It's about knowing how to fix a tire. Masculinity, all that is wrapped up in the term I use, self-sufficiency. What's wrong with that? And most importantly, we live in a world where maybe it's because there's been a lot of single mothers created over the past 30 or 40 years, and that a lot of that's changing. Maybe it's because there's been a lot of men who've got it twisted and they weren't raised by men, or some of the stuff they've seen on TV has taken them in the wrong direction. I don't know why, but there's a whole generation, almost 2 generations of men who were raised without positive role models or masculine men to teach them how to be a man. There's a whole generation of men who were raised without any coaching on what it means to be a real masculine man, and they're about to be a real big problem for us. There's millions of them. And what we need masculine men for is that the only thing that can either change these men, convert them into real masculine men and boys, masculine boys and masculine men, the only thing that can convert them and usher them along and coach them and provide them the tutelage, it is a masculine man. And if they reject the tutelage, if they reject the encouragement and the teaching and continue to be toxic males, some go on to lead big companies, etc., the only thing to put them in their place is a real man. So ask yourself, do you want to live in a world without masculine men? Because if you do, you're going to be living in a world with toxic men. We're never going to stop that. We're not going to stop testosterone. We're not going to stop biology and evolution. We're not going to stop that. That's going to be there. And without it being checked and developed, we're going to be living in a world with destructive men, and they're going to be everybody's problem. And I want you to think about this as I close. If you're in a convenience store, you stop to get gas and you go in to get some bubble gum, and someone comes in and sticks up the whole store and wants to rob the guy at the cashier's desk and wants to shake everybody down, and you're scared for your life, boom, bullet goes off. This guy's not playing. Who do you want in the room? Do you want your mother in the room? I don't want my mom in that room because I love her. If you're in this room, you're in this room, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. Do you want a young man who has been told his whole life, don't do push-ups? Oh, no, don't. That's all toxic masculinity. Don't feel like you have to protect people around you. Don't feel like you have to be able to protect yourself. Don't learn how to use your hands. Don't learn how to wrestle. Don't learn how to use a gun. Don't do that, right? Or do you want the person who his whole life he's been taught that you're supposed to protect the people around you in your community? You need to learn how to fight and defend yourself, not to hurt people, but to make sure no one can hurt you and other people. Someone who's grown up with a healthy sense of pride. Someone who's been taught that there are going to be times in your life that there's something more important than your life, which is protecting other people and protecting them. Someone who's been coached and developed in a way that they're willing to put their life on the line for someone who can't defend themselves, and they don't even have to think about it. It's an easy decision, and they also know how to handle themselves. Someone who knows how to stand up to a toxic male. Who do you want in the room? Do you want the boy that's been told don't be like that? Or do you want the one who's been developed by a masculine man? You tell me.